if you aren't aware, hormones affect our body in big ways, and there are various things that affect them, namely nutrition, uh, macronutrition, but also micronutrition in a big way. Um, Even things like sleep, uh, stress, coffee, um, when used strategically, not in a negative way. Anyway, so what I just wanted to talk about was insulin and leptin. And so, basically, like if you've ever had an experience or know someone that has, like generally when people want to lose weight, often they just look at diet and exercise. There's a few more elements to that equation to be like top to bottom covered. Um, but diet is king. That is always number one. Anyway, so what most people aim to do when they're wishing to lose weight is they'll reduce calories and often they'll reduce carbohydrates. So generally it's like protein and produce, which is hard. Protein is a really shitty source of fuel. It's meant to, hi Spencer, to rebuild the body. We need it. We need it for life. Yay, thank you. Um, but it is not good fuel. And so, if you've ever had the situation where you've experienced something that felt like radical weight loss, the truth is a lot of that was probably water. For every stored molecule of glucose, of sugar, there's 3 molecules of water. So when your body powers through that, you look like shredded right away. But then what ends up happening is basically, if you're still in a sugar burning mode, your body will keep looking for sugar. And so, where it is additionally stored is in your muscles. So, what can end up happening is your body will start to feel a little bit threatened. Um, that can affect your metabolism, um, slow things down because it doesn't feel like it's getting the fuel that it needs. And then it'll start to mine for glucose in your muscles. And so what can end up happening is basically your muscle mass starts reducing because it's easier for your body to get fuel, to get sugar from your muscles, especially when it feels threatened, than to tap into fat. Because essentially, you can live for longer in the wild with no food, with more fat on your frame versus muscle on your body. Okay? Anyway, so what can end up happening, which can feel terrible, is that A, you have less energy, and then B, it's like kind of subtly your muscle mass is being reduced unbeknownst to you. So additionally, you actually require less calories at rest going forward. Like it's a shitty situation. I don't recommend it at any rate. So what ends up happening when people reduce carbohydrates and reduce calories is that, so the thing that's so beautiful about the body, and I guess, it's like not a doctor, not a scientist, but the aspects that I understand about the body and how to affect it, like the body's number one priority is to keep you alive. And so when you start to change parameters, it'll keep kind of like responding to that. And so, like, if you're strategic about it, like, you can have your cake and eat it too. That is definitely my mission. But if we kind of do things haphazardly, the body wants to make sure you are alive. So it'll do things, like if things are extreme or if they feel compromising, your body will start to shift in ways that might be counterproductive to actually what you're aiming to attain. Anyway, so when we reduce those two things, carbohydrates and calories, which can be super effective for weight loss, there's a certain hormone called leptin that starts to lower. So leptin is a hormone that basically allows our body to let go of fat, and it also helps us to feel fuller or to feel satiated with what we're eating. So what can happen is when you reduce those two things, your leptin levels will also start to drop. And so what can end up happening for people, and the reason why I started to talk about this was with a fat burner who had, like first week, it's like, oh, I lost 3 pounds. And then it was like, oh, the scale is not my friend. And it was like, you, sir, need to have some carbohydrates, which he wasn't interested in. Because it makes people nervous. It's like, I just have to try harder. I just have to do this better. And what can end up happening for people is that that's actually like the opposite of what needs to go on. Because what will happen if your leptin levels keep going down is your weight loss will stall and it'll often stop. And so it's your body saying, like, hey, like, we don't think there's enough food in the world for us. Hi, Karen. So it'll start to affect your body to slow your metabolism to retain fat. Anyway, so we have strategic carb feasts for this reason. Obviously, if you are eating carbohydrates all of the time, like, that's often when weight gain happens. Additionally, I'll talk about other negative ramifications with hormones with that. So that's what we don't want. But if you know how to use them, like, this is, again, like having your cake and eating it too, which is so freaking freeing. So the other thing I just want to say, though, so there's a relationship, like one thing also, like with Fat Burning Mastery or fat burners, should you have any questions or interest, please be in touch about this. The first thing that we do is we reset people's insulin sensitivity. And the reason why is because additional, I'll talk about a lot of things, but there's also a relationship between insulin resistance, which if you have been historically consuming a lot of carbohydrates or higher glycemic carbohydrates, and or you have a bunch of weight on your frame, there's probably an element of insulin resistance in your body. And that's something that basically is a precursor to metabolic syndrome, which is a precursor to diabetes, which is a precursor to heart disease. And so what's awesome about so when you're more insulin resistant, so you have that terrible string of events that's available to you, and it's harder to lose weight. So one thing that I additionally feel is so like disheartening for people that are aiming to lose weight when they're insulin resistant is that they might be, giving this like lion's effort, and, following something to a T, and it's like, why are things not changing, or why are they not changing as fast as I would assume? And insulin resistance can be an element of that. So what's awesome is that the opposite is also true. So when your body is more insulin sensitive, it's easier to lose weight. And my favorite aspect, so like not only is your health trajectory different, you have the opportunity to have this different timeline going forward, biological makeup going forward. But my favorite part of insulin sensitivity is that it makes weight gain harder. So it makes weight loss easier and it makes weight gain harder. Anyway, so that is why in Fat Burning Mastery we start with that, because it is so freaking logical for health, which, like, what we look like is just a reflection of what's going on inside. And so, obviously, it's not 100% symmetrical, I guess, or reflective, but there's a lot of parallels between our inner health and our outer expression of it. So at any rate, so then it's like, oh, the body's more insulin sensitive, so it requires less insulin for it to move fuel into muscle cells to be used for energy. Awesome. And then it makes it harder to gain weight in the future. Freaking golden. Amazing. The other thing I just wanted to say is that there's also a relationship with insulin resistance and leptin resistance. So, if you've been here from the beginning, leptin is a hormone that lets our body know that we can let go of weight. It lets us know that we are satisfied with a certain amount of food, a reasonable amount of food, a small amount of food. But there's a relationship. When we have a level of insulin resistance in our body, there's also leptin resistance. So again, if leptin is a hormone that actually enables us to lose more weight. So again, like another tragic situation, because generally, when we have more weight and we're eating more carbohydrates, the theory is that our leptin levels are higher. And actually, in some respect, that is true. Because if you've ever if you've ever had a lot of weight on your frame or know someone that has, it's easier for them to lose weight than it is for someone that has far less weight to lose. And there's this element of leptin going on in that system. Anyway, but if there's an element of insulin resistance as well as an element of leptin resistance, then that body doesn't get to take advantage of that hormone. And so the first thing to do is to reset one's insulin sensitivity. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Like, I just hopefully talked this lovely man off the ledge as to why he should eat pasta and maybe have ice cream for dessert tonight because of that hormone. Again, not every day, all day, but strategically, yes, frickin' please. And then why we start with resetting the body's insulin sensitivity, not only for the effect that insulin has on the body. There's a relationship with blood sugar, with cortisol, belly fat, health issues, and there's a relationship with leptin. And so when we reset that, again, we get to have our cake and eat it too. And so it just makes weight loss easier and it makes weight gain harder, which to me is like, glory be to God. Yes, please. Anyway, so I hope that was useful. If anyone has, you want to lose weight in a way that's frickin' pleasurable and easy and a lifestyle that you might want to keep up for the remainder of your time upright and breathing on this planet, please be in touch. Or actually, yeah, be in touch. I might attach a link about a sugar burner questionnaire, but there's an awesome video following as to why fat burning might be really smart and natural. All right, I think that's it. Subscribe. I just wrote another blog post about toxins, which again affect weight. So anyway, I would love to hear from anyone for any given reason. But anyway, I hope everyone's having a good day. Thank you for being here.